Hello everyone and welcome to Just Finish Coding. I'm Sriram and in this brand new series you'll be learning how to create Geometry Dash on Scratch 3. Now as you can see from this preview we have pretty much the entire Geometry Dash game along with the platforms, the flying and also the crashing. Now that's enough talk for the preview now. Let's get right into the code. Alright, before I get into the code, I'm going to ask you to download this particular file from the link in the description below, and that link will take you to a Google Drive attachment where you'll find this Scratch file which says start file. Now the reason I'm asking you to download this is because in case you have this, you're going to save a lot of time and you no longer have to import all the costumes of all the sprites, and it's just way more convenient. Because in case you do import the costumes, then everything is going to be centered by default and that's just going to lead to a lot of bugs in the game. So make sure you have the start file imported, and once you have this in place, we can start the code. In this video, what we'll be doing is making sure that the background is scrolling, and I know you can't see the background yet, and I will click show just to show it for a second, and basically we'll see it scrolling around the screen. So let me hide it back and let's start this off in the stage. So let's head over to events and grab a when I receive or rather when green flag is clicked, and in this case I'll be broadcasting two different messages. So the first one is called init and I'm just going to call this init for short. It's just going to stand for initialization, and after this you can grab a forever loop, and within that forever loop you can say broadcast tick and wait. So say new message and say broadcast tick. Just like this. Basically init is going to be when we're getting all the sprites ready for the game, so we'll be setting up the clones, we'll be going to the particular positions, and tick is when the game is actually happening and we're basically interacting between the sprites. So that's the general idea. So once you have this in place, now you can head over to the background sprite, and within the background sprite let's start with the when I receive init. Now let me tell you right here that when the game ends, let's just say when the player hits an obstacle, we'll be restarting the game, and at that point it's important to make sure that we're not creating the clones once again, or even if we are, we make sure that the existing clones are all deleted. So that's what we'll be doing now, and you can grab or delete this clone from the control section. Now the problem with just doing this way is that we can't continue this block of code because delete this clone is kind of an ender. So what we can do instead is grab a repeat 10 and just say repeat 1 instead, delete this clone, and then we can continue. So delete this clone, and after this let's set in the coordinates. So let's say go to x0 y0, and after that I'm going to make sure that this sprite is hidden. Now we need to set up two different variables. The first one is going to be called clone ID, and the second one is going to be called clone. So clone is going to be followed by a question mark, and this is to signify that this variable has only two different possible values, which is yes and no, and hence it is a boolean variable. So click OK, and let's make sure to hide those two variables because we don't want them interrupting the screen display. So let's set clone to yes, and we'll set clone to no. Okay, I'll explain why we're doing that. So now let's create a new clone of ourselves. And before we create a new clone of ourselves, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set clone ID to be 1. Now let's duplicate this again, and here I'm going to set clone ID to be 2. Once again we create a clone of ourselves, and after that we will set the clone variable to be no. So set it no, just like this. So the way this works is as follows. Basically the clones are going to be created, and when the clones are created they're going to assume that their clone variable is yes, since the clone ID of the sprite is the default ID of the clone at that point. Now after the clone is created, what we're doing is setting the clone variable to be no for the sprite, but the clone variable of the clones are still going to be set to yes, and hence as a result we have both the clones with their clone variable to yes, and we have the sprite with its clone variable to no. Very simple, and that's the idea of the code. Now I'll also make one small change, and we want the clones to be seen right at the beginning, but we don't want the sprite to be seen at the beginning because all the moving around is going to be done by the clones. So as a result we can set a show here, and then we can hide everything just to make sure that things work smoothly and the clones are shown. So that's pretty much it. Now what I'll be doing is I'll be heading over into the tick message. So let's grab a when I receive and let's change this to be a tick. So when I receive, change this to tick. In this case, I will be checking for, first of all, grab an if else, and I'll be checking if the clone variable is set to yes. So in case the clone variable is set to yes, then we know that the object we're dealing with is a clone and not the sprite itself. So if this is the sprite itself, then I'll want the sprite to do a completely different thing, okay? And that is to make sure that our background variable is changing. Now I haven't set that yet and I'm going to do it right now. I'm going to set this for all sprites, and as a result, I'm going to make sure it's all in caps. Just a simple way for me to identify the variables without checking them every single time. So let's call this background X, click OK, and then hide this variable. Now I'm going to head over to the stage, and when we receive init here, I'm going to set background X to be 0, okay? I'm just going to do this for all the global variables or public variables which I'll be setting up, and that's just for convenience sake. So now let's head back to the background, and when the clone is not yes and it is set to no, then what we'll be doing is manipulating the background variable. So let's grab an if else once again, and in this case first I'll be checking if the background is equal to -480. So if background X is equal to -480, then what I'll be doing is I'll be resetting the background X variable to be -1, okay? And if this is not the case, then what I'll do is I will simply change background X by -1, not +1. Just make sure you are doing this carefully. It's -1. So that's going to be all we're doing if this is not a clone. And if this is a clone, then we'll be using a particular block for going to the coordinates. And I haven't defined the block yet, so I'm going to make it right now. Make sure you hit this block which says checkbox, which says run without screen refresh, because in case you don't, things are going to start looking very, very weird on your screen. So I'm going to call this block name go to coordinates, and we're going to have two different inputs here. So the first input is going to be called X and the second input is going to be called Y. I'll explain what these two things do and also how we're going to use the background X variable. Just hold on for now. So we will just be throwing in the go to coordinates here if clone is yes, but actually I'll do this later because we're going to have some if else's there too. So within this go to coordinates, the very, very simple thing I'll be doing is just say go to X. So go to X and go to Y, X and Y. So we're just going to these two coordinates which we're entering here. And we'll also be making sure that they hide or show depending on where they are. Now Scratch has this really peculiar feature, and I won't call it a bug, or it's useful in some cases and it's not useful in others. But basically, let's just head over to the player because we are showing it right now. I'm going to say go to, okay, I'm going to make it go to some coordinate which does not exist on the Scratch grid. Now remember, the coordinates are -240 to +240 on the X and -180 to +180 on the Y. Now let me just say something like 300 and Y is going to be 200. So these two coordinates don't exist, but when we go there and when we look at the coordinates of the player, now we can see that it's at 240, 180, although we just made it go to a different coordinate. So basically what we'll be checking is if the background is on one of these coordinates, okay, but the Scratch editor makes it go to this coordinate, then we'll make sure the background is hidden because we won't want the two backgrounds to overlap. So it's very, very simple. And to do that, we can just grab an if else, okay? So we can say if, and you need to grab an AND operator and put in two equal to's within that. So oops, not this way. So put in the and two operators within, oops, again, I'm making the same error. I'm not sure what's wrong here. So let's put this inside, there we go, and let's put the other equal to inside as well. So what we'll check is if X and Y are equal to their X and Y positions, then we will make sure that we show this clone. But if this is not the case, then we can hide ourselves to avoid any overlapping. So that's going to be all we need. And within this within the if clone is equal to yes, we can grab another if else statement and we can check first of all if the clone ID is equal to 1. So now if clone ID is equal to 1, then what it means is that we are talking about the first clone which we set up here, And for the first clone, we'll be having a go-to coordinates of just background X and Y 0. So Y is going to be 0, but we'll be going to background X. And if clone is equal to 2, and I'll be confirming that with an if then. So if clone ID is equal to 2, in this case, we will be going to background X plus, okay, not just background X, but background X plus 480. So grab a plus from the operators and just say background X plus 480. Now remember that the total, width of the screen is 480, and that's the reason I'm putting this here. So background X is basically going to be the background scrolling point. So in case this first background moves to the left, it's going to be because the background X variable changed by -1. So that's the general idea. You can see this code work pretty easily. So now let's hit the green flag, and you can see that the background is scrolling. Now I'm not sure if you caught that at the beginning, but when we press the green flag, you can start to see that this little bug pops up on the right hand corner. And that's because of a simple reason. So since we're having this in place, what the Scratch editor is doing is it's checking if the X and Y positions are the same as what we entered in, and it's declaring them not until, this background moves up a little bit. And you can see that with the player. I mean, you can move this a little bit more than the max X and Y coordinates, but you can't really move beyond that. So you can see that we have Y is 156 as, X is still 240 as of now, but we can still move it a little bit more. I mean, I'm not trying hard enough here, but in case you really try to move that, you would be able to get it beyond 240. But with the background, that results in a slight problem because it's hiding for a small time duration before it's coming back into the screen. So in order to fix that, we can manipulate the size variable in a particular way. So to do that, you need to go to the goToCoordinates function here, and you need to grab an if else. Okay, so grab an if else. Here what we'll be checking is if the X coordinate, so check if X, not X coordinate, sorry, X position, if the X position is greater than, this is the greater than, if it's greater than 460. Now remember that the backgrounds are centralized, which means that, we're talking about the center coordinate here and not really, one of the corner coordinates, because the corner coordinate is going to be at negative, in this case it's positive 240 for the second clone, but the center coordinate is going to be at the center. So that's going to be, once again, a plus 240. So that's going to be 480. Okay, so in this case, X position is going to be 480, and that's something where, this condition will hold true. It's going to be positive 480, but it's also going to hold true on the left hand side when the backgrounds eventually scroll, and that is going to be if the X position is less than -460. So both are going to be pretty much the same code, and to make sure that one of these two conditions is true, we can put an OR condition here and just throw in these two conditions. Okay, in this case, if one of these two conditions are true, then what we'll do is we will set the size to be 400, not 100 but 400, and then we will just go to these coordinates. Okay, so go to X, go to Y, and then we will set our size back to 100. But if this is not the case, then what we'll do is we will simply say go to X, go to Y. And we can throw in this, checking if we show a height after this, but this is going to be all that we need. And now if we put the screen on full screen and then we run the code, you can see that we have no errors on the right hand side, and it's going to be no errors on the left hand side as well when we do eventually get there. And that's it I'll be doing in this video. In the next video, we'll probably get into making sure that the player movement works kind of okay. And after that, we might get into the floors, platforms, and so on. If you've enjoyed this video, please make sure to give the video a like, and also don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.